Hi everyone, it's me, Diana, TheDollFairy, and today I'll be your host, your ghost host, here at the séance room of the Haunted Mansion to summon a doll of one of the mansion's most famous grim-grinning ghosts, Madame Leota. Since it's spooky season yet again, I'm teaming up with some of my fellow doll customizing friends for another Halloween collaboration. After we summon our ghostly doll in this video, be sure to check out these amazing dolls from Anastasia Custom, Dolllightful, Doll Motion, Doll's Brand New Look, Hextian, Cairo's Workshop, and Moonlight Jewel. The links to their channels can be found in the description below. Now, let's get started on calling the spirits. Quick disclaimer, any sort of spirit summoning is very dangerous stuff, so I definitely don't recommend trying it in real life. But in the context of my beloved Disney's Haunted Mansion, rest assured that it's all pretend and just for fun. Goblins and ghoulies from last Halloween, awaken the spirits with your tambourine. Our ghosts from Halloween's past are here to help us call Madame Leota. We have ghost Pokemon, Chandelure and Poltegeist, and Constance Hatchaway, who herself is a resident here at the mansion. Isn't that right, Constance? Okay, I know you don't like chatting with me. I get it. Sheesh. As you may already know if you watch my videos, I love the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. This attraction filled with spooky surprises and 999 happy haunts is probably my favorite of all the classic Disney rides. So of course, it was only a matter of time before I returned to the mansion to create a doll of the creepy clairvoyant Madame Leota, the mansion's fortune teller and medium. Madame Leota was named for Disney Imagineer Leota Toombs, who provided the face for the psychic medium character whose head is encased in a crystal ball. Eleanor Audley, who was no stranger to Disney voice acting, having provided the voice for both Cinderella's stepmother and Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty, did the voiceover for the character's creepy lines, which summon the spirits you see within the mansion. In the séance room, Madame Leota's crystal ball hovers above a table, and various musical instruments are suspended in midair due to the psychic energy of all the spirits in the room. For my rendition of Madame Leota, I will be using a Monster High Frankie Stein doll as a base because of the greenish pallor of her skin tone, as well as the angular, almost squarish sculpt of her face, which I feel will be a good canvas for this character. To prep the doll for customizing, I remove her default hair. I dunk the doll headfirst into some near boiling water for a minute or so in order to soften the vinyl, then carefully twist back and forth to pull the head off the neck peg. Next, I use some needle-nose jewelry pliers through the neck hole to scrape all the glue and remaining hair out from the inside of the head. I also use pliers to remove the little bolts on either side of her neck. Madame Leota is just a head inside of a globe, but I think I'll be using her body for something as well. But we'll come back to that later. Next, I remove her factory face-up using acetone nail polish remover and cotton balls, and now she's ready for a new face. First, let's just test something out. Her head will need to be encased in a crystal ball, so I got this plastic Christmas ornament from the craft store that should work quite nicely. So let's get started on her face. For Madame Leota's makeup, I kept in mind what the actual Madame Leota looks like in the Haunted Mansion, various artistic interpretations of her, like this adorable cartoon version, and I was also very heavily inspired by this amazing makeup tutorial by Viva Glam K in collaboration with Disney for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party in 2019. The ghoulish green of her pallor in combination with the rich purple tones in her eyeshadow and blush creates a perfect color palette that I want to recreate in my interpretation of the character. I start by first sealing the vinyl head with 3 separate coats of Mr. Super Clear UV Flat Spray Sealant. This spray is toxic, so I only spray it outside with a respirator mask to protect my lungs. I start sketching the outlines with a purple watercolor pencil. Her eyes will be somewhat narrow and angled with high arched eyebrows. I give her some dramatic eyelashes as well to add to her mystique. When I'm happy with my outlines and they seem mostly symmetrical, I start adding some color. I fill in the whites of the eyes and the irises with purple. I introduce some dark brown to darken the lash lines. Next, I'm going to use some soft pastels to lay down some shading, blushing, lip color, and eyeshadow. I grind the pastels into a powder by simply scribbling onto a scrap of paper, then use varying sizes of brushes for the different areas of the face. I start with a deep red, almost crimson color for her lips. I set down the color, then use a kneaded eraser to make the outline of the lips crisp and neat. For her eyeshadow, I'm using a warm purple color that creates an interesting contrast with her mint green skin color. Viva Glam K's tutorial was really helpful to me because I'm extremely minimal when it comes to putting makeup on my own face. So aside from experimenting with dolls, I really don't know the quote-unquote right way to apply eyeshadow, so I'm always learning. I'm adding shading and contours to her face using dark green and charcoal colored pastels. I use just a little bit of pigment at first and blend it in using Q-tips in addition to my brushes. One of the most important elements to make this face worthy of being called Madame Leota will be her dramatic cheekbones. I will need to use shadows to create the illusion of sharper cheekbones, as well as adding shadows around her eyes to give her a more ghostly appearance. After this first layer, I spray the head with another coat of MSC and wait around 30 minutes for it to completely dry before starting on the second layer. Now that we have the foundation in place, a lot of the work still ahead of us is mostly in gradually building up the opacity of the colors through multiple layers and refining and reinforcing all of the shading. You can see the difference in the vibrancy of the colors here as I reinforce the outlines of the eyes in purple and fill in the irises as well. I build up more shading on her face as well as the eyeshadow. For her lips, I'm adding some black and purple as well as more red to create a deep richness to her lip color. I introduce black to her irises to set the foundation for shading in that area in subsequent layers. I continue to seal each layer and then go over it again once it's dry, and each time I am able to create more depth and detail as the layers begin to work together. You can see here how the eyelashes are becoming more defined with this third layer of pigment. I add black to the outlines of the eyes and eyelashes to create even greater vibrancy and definition. I add black to the eyebrows as well, but I'm careful not to overpower the purple too much and keep that violet undertone in the features. I add more shading to her irises with black pencil, then add more shading to her face with pastels. I bring in a few different shades of purple to create interest and variation in the eyeshadow area. At this point, I think one more layer should bring us to the finished face. And after a final spray, all she needs now are some highlights in her eyes and some gloss on her lips. I use white acrylic paint for the eye lights and to brighten the whites of the eyes. And I use Sculpey Gloss for the lips. Now for a quick test. Let's see how her face looks in the bubble. Not bad. What if we add some fairy lights for illumination inside the globe? They actually look pretty magical. Now, it usually looks like Madame Leota's head is surrounded by some sort of ethereal mist or smoke. I've got some fluff from brushing out yarn into wefts for doll hair, so let's see if we can get some of that to look smoky. It looks a little bit snowy to me, like it gives me a Christmassy vibe with those lights. But it's not bad, it could work. Then I thought of using thin strips of tulle fabric instead, because I like how it looks more misty and less like fluff or snow. I'm going to let that simmer in my brain for a while I work on her body. But Madame Leota doesn't have a body, right? Well, it's true that in the seance room of the Haunted Mansion, she is just a head in a crystal ball. But she must have had a body at some point, and I'm sure she would wear clothes on that body, so let's make her a fancy ball gown, because why not? When I was researching Madame Leota, I fell in love with this beautiful dress designed and created by Firefly Path for film producer Raiya Corsiglia. In Disneyland, the Haunted Mansion is located in the New Orleans Square area, and this little gift shop cart, called Leota's Vardo, is located nearby, alluding towards her backstory being that of a traveling Romani medium in the late 18th to 19th century. So this gown takes inspiration from those clues to her past and incorporates shimmering gold coins for a mystical fortune teller vibe. The skirt also dissipates into wispy organza at the bottom to give her the look of a ghostly apparition. So to create a doll dress inspired by this design, I picked out some fabrics and lace to see what would work best. This part is honestly one of my favorite parts of the whole doll customization process, because I really love picking out fabrics, and of course, as you well know by now if you watch my channel, I'm obsessed with lace. I'll definitely be incorporating some into this outfit. I quite haphazardly created a pattern for a big circle skirt for the gown, since I wanted to have a lot of volume and incorporate many layers of fabric. I think there's a mathematical way to calculate a proper circle skirt pattern, but I simply folded some paper twice and placed the doll on top to come up with a basic measurement for the skirt length, then used the doll sort of like a compass to create 1/4 of a circle. I did use a measuring tape to make sure it was even. I'm starting with some layers of basic tulle for the innermost layer of the skirt to give it some poof and for that wispy feeling at the bottom. I used a rotary cutter for the first time and it was pretty cool. Next is a layer of sheer black fabric with glitter for a bit of shimmer. You may recognize this fabric from Yveltal's Veil way back when. It's quite glamorous. So now I've got 4 layers of tulle and 1 of the glittery black. Next will be a layer of shiny purple satin, but it needs to look jagged and frayed. I'm using another 1/4 circle pattern and sketching a jagged line that I can use to cut the satin layer. When I unfold it, it looks like this. I clean up a few of the spikes that I didn't like, and voila! For the final layer of the circle skirt, I'm adding this gossamer-like organza fabric that my friend Kelly from Art Weasel Customs sent to me. I only have a small piece, but it also needs to look jagged and frayed, so I start with a square and then I start randomly distressing the edges. After cutting out the middle part of the circle and lining everything up together, I'm going to use a bit of ribbon for the waistband. I sew on snaps for the closure and sew in an extra loop to keep the skirt sitting where I want it on the waistline. I sew in a gathering stitch before stitching the skirt to the waistband. For the bodice, I'm modifying some of the bodice pattern pieces from RequiemArt's Victorian dress pattern. This is actually the same pattern I used for Constance's wedding dress. For the middle panel of the bodice, I'm adding a layer of the organza for a subtle shimmery effect. Because I'm using this delicate satin that frays a lot, I'm using fray check along the edges of each piece. Next, I just sew some darts and sew together the bodice pieces. I trimmed the back pieces because I totally forgot to modify them before cutting out the fabric. But this is actually easier anyway, so it all works out. For the top and bottom edges of the bodice, it's just too tiny and delicate to sew the hems and make them look clean, so I'm going to use fast grab tacky glue to simply glue them down precisely. This also prevents inevitable fraying that would happen if I sewed it, even with the fray check along the edges. I use tons of miniature clothespins to keep it together while the glue dries. This is really such a helpful trick, seriously. Now that it's hemmed, I'm going to trim that top edge with just a little bit of this elegant black lace. I'm just using the top portion of it because it would be huge in doll scale. I'm adding some off-shoulder sleeves with a bit of the sheer black fabric stitched to the bodice. Now you might notice that the doll's body still has the Frankenstein stitches. I could have sanded these off or removed them carefully with acetone, but I like to save time, so I have the perfect solution. A lace choker to cover the one around her neck, and in a bit we'll also make some long gloves that will cover the ones on her arms, and look extremely elegant to boot. First, I'm going to add rounded panels on either side of the skirt with more black sparkly fabric. Luckily, it doesn't fray, so no hemming. Instead, I'm gluing some gold embroidery thread along the edges. Then I'm gluing these shimmery gold sequins around them to simulate gold coins. These sequins are left over from the scales of my melodic's tail. For the gloves, I'll use this thin and somewhat stretchy black fabric for the arms. And for her hands, I simply switch out her original hands for these black gloved hands from a Bunny Blanc doll. I add a bit of lace to the tops of the gloves with some glue. For her jewelry, I glue green rhinestones to the gold sequins and glue those together on some thin black ribbon to form bracelets. To embellish the dress, I stitch on a length of gold chain, as well as a strand of the metallic embroidery thread with sequins. I'm cutting the neck peg off the top of the body, but I hold onto it because I might be able to use it later for situating the head inside of the globe. You won't really see her legs underneath that big gown, but I'm giving her fishnet stockings anyway. And now for shoes. I'll be repainting these Briar Beauty stock shoes, which have roses and thorns sculpted into them. First, I paint them black. Then I use some metallic gold paint and a dry brush technique to gild them lightly. I really love the effect. Then I seal the paint job with some Liquitex matte varnish diluted with water. Now the last major thing to work on is the hair. I want her hair to be floaty because she's an apparition, so I'm brushing out this teal colored yarn to make yarn hair wefts that I will glue on. I use a pet hair brush to separate the strands. Then, with the help of something heavy like my trusty Complete Works of Shakespeare here, I use a hair straightener to smooth out the fluffy yarn into what looks like silky hair. I cut the quote-unquote hair and glue the ends of it onto pieces of plastic bags with Mod Podge to create wefts. When the glue is dry, I trim the glue edges so that they're nice and neat. And then I glue on the wefts using fast grab tacky glue. I start from the nape of the neck and work my way up to the top part of the head. Then I create a part line by gluing down especially thick wefts, going in the opposite direction, and then flipping them over to create a neat middle edge. Hair clips and plastic wrap are very helpful for setting the hair in place while the glue dries. When it's dry, I take a comb and brush and style the hair. Madame Leota's hair should look as if it's floating around her, as I mentioned, and it will all have to fit into the globe with her, so I fluff it up and twist it into configurations that give it the illusion of weightlessness. Now to complete the doll by installing the apparition herself into her crystal ball. After trying it out, I decided that neither the yarn fluff nor the tulle fabric strips were necessary to create a mist around her because her hair is already so voluminous. I felt that the other stuff was just kind of getting in the way and looked messy, so I eventually decided to just go with the lights and the head after all. To hold her head in the right spot in the globe, I'm going to use a piece of a hot glue gun stick to create a small platform with the neck peg at the top. This way, her head will be securely in place, but it can still be removed later and put on her body for photos, for example. And now, all of the elements are in place. Okay everyone, we're all ready now for Madame Leota to appear and take her place here with the other ghosts. Creepies and crawlies, toads in a pond, let there be music from regions beyond. Rap on a table, it's time to respond. Send us a message from somewhere beyond. Wizards and witches, wherever you dwell, give us a hint by ringing a bell. The happy haunts have received your sympathetic vibrations and are beginning to materialize. They're assembling for a swinging wake. Now that all 999 happy haunts are here, I think it's time to party. Thanks for coming back to the Haunted Mansion with me this Halloween, everyone. If you're like me and you love the Disney characters, parks, and attractions, you're in for a real treat. Because I'm starting a brand new series on my channel called Destination Disney. This series will feature dolls that personify iconic attractions and locations in various Disney parks. So please subscribe if you haven't yet so that you won't miss any of these new doll customizations. And right now, you have a bunch more Halloween-themed doll videos to check out. Thank you so much to my fellow doll customizers for collaborating with me this Halloween. And as always, thank you to my patrons whose support helps make all of the doll magic on this channel possible. If you enjoy my videos and would like to help me make more of them, check out Patreon. Becoming a monthly supporter gets you access to bonus and behind-the-scenes content, participating in exclusive contests and collaborations, early access to my videos as well as exclusive patron-only videos and tutorials, and more. Check it out at patreon.com/TheDollFairy. In fact, if you'd like to see a bonus video featuring a behind-the-scenes look at this Halloween photo shoot and skit, that's available on Patreon now, so check it out if you're interested. I'd also like to remind you that the TheDollFairy now has an official shop with apparel, accessories, charms, stickers, and lots of cool stuff for sale. I designed all of the merch on TheDollFairy.com, so head over to check it out and sign up for the email list to find out the inside scoop about upcoming sales and events. Thank you for watching, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed your stay here at the Haunted Mansion. I'll see you all again very soon for more doll magic. Bye! Hurry back, hurry back. Be sure to bring your death certificate.